MSCA delegates, the assault is on. After a long, successful run, we are seeing the start of an unprecedented, coordinated attack on our benefits, our job security, our public schools, and our association. I want to start with pensions. Our members worked hard back in 2006 for the passage of our pension improvements. At the time, our benefits were the worst in the nation. We successfully lobbied for an increase in that service multiplier that's used in the benefit formula. It went from 1.4% for each year of service to 1.8%. But the change was only retroactive to 1998. So someone planning to retire in a couple more years, in 2013, with 30 years of service, will have half of their service, 15 years, at the 1.4%, and the other half at 1.8%. So their total benefit will be 48% of their average salary for their last 3 years. Who in this hall was hired by their school system in 1998? Anyone start in 1998? All right. Well, when you're ready to retire, if you work 30 years, in the year 2028, you'll be the first class of educators who has all 30 years of service at the 1.8 multiplier. You'll be, for the first time, 30-year members of the system will receive a 54% pension benefit. That's when the phase-in of the improvements is finally complete. As part of that deal back in 2006, we agreed to more than double our contributions, going from 2% of our salary being withheld and sent to the retirement system to 5%. We've upheld our part of the bargain. Now, since the pension assets got slammed in the 2008-2009 market crash, some in the General Assembly want to reduce our member benefit levels. It's wrong, and it must be stopped. Other lawmakers aren't so concerned about reducing our benefits, but they want to reduce their costs. They're looking at that total employer rate, the red line at the top, and they're seeing that upward trend, and they're concerned about how do we, in this economy, pay for it. Last year in Maryland, there was a move in the state Senate to begin shifting pension costs from the state to the counties. How did they justify it? Well, here's what they said. The counties or the local school boards are out there spending like drunken sailors. They jack up salaries. We have no control over that. And then we're stuck with the pension bill. Now, delegates, let's examine this argument. A number of years ago, the General Assembly passed the Thornton legislation, infusing billions of dollars of increased resources to the local systems. And what did they tell the locals at the time? We want you to increase programs. We want you to hire more staff. You know, if you're going to put full-day kindergarten in all the school systems, you need educators. We want you to increase salaries so we attract great staff to our public schools. The counties responded. They did exactly that. Now the legislators are complaining, if you hadn't made decisions to spend that money that we gave you, our pension costs would be lower today. Over the first 8 years of this decade, the payroll increased by an average of 6.4%. That's the average of the blue bars on that chart. This was a combination of more jobs and higher salaries. In the last 2 years, the General Assembly put the brakes on school funding increases. How did the counties and school boards react? Well, of course, they tightened their belts. We've all experienced it. Total payroll increased in 2009 by 1.25%. You see that bar in orange. And this past year, measured by the retirement system in June of 2010, the increase in payroll came in at a bit less than 1% total. The past 10 years have shown us that the state, through its education budget, does effectively control salary growth. Local budgets are very, very tight. As a result, any shift of costs from the state to the counties, no matter how gradually phased in, will inevitably cut into resources reaching the classroom. In terms of the outcome, a pension shift is no different than a direct assault on Thornton funding. It's wrong, and it must be stopped. When the House blocked the Senate move to shift costs, it called for a pension commission to study benefits and funding and report back this December with its preliminary report to the General Assembly with recommendations. At last week's first commission meeting, an expert, Ron Snell from the National Council of State Legislatures, reported that in 2010, 19 states reduced benefits, increased employee contribution rates, or did both. And here's Ron's slide. Rates or did both. And here's Ron's slide. How have benefits been changed? Some states, he told us, have increased the number of years required to lock in or vest a benefit payable at age of retirement. Some have reduced the benefit multiplier or stretched the number of years over which they have calculated the final average salary. So your benefit may not be based on your last 3 years, but your last 5 years. That results in a lower figure. Still others have boosted the normal retirement age and reduced or eliminated cost of living adjustments for retirees. The most severe changes have been in states shifting away from defined benefit plans to defined contribution plans, shifting all investment and longevity risk to our members. Now, this pattern that was set by these 19 states during their 2010 legislative sessions is being used to justify the same types of changes in Maryland. Delegates, if you hit a year when the markets drop 25%, the state has plenty of time to recover. But the same thing can't be said of an individual educator or retiree. A shift away from defined benefits is a direct assault on educators and retirees. It is wrong, and it must be stopped. One state that's made drastic changes this year is New Jersey, where changes include a reduction in the benefit multiplier, increase in service required for vesting, increase in the normal retirement age, increase in the member's contribution rate, and elimination of COLAs. And get this, everyone listening, in a move that was specifically targeted to education support professionals, there was a requirement added that locked any educators who don't work at least 32 hours a week out of the defined benefit system. Let's listen to New Jersey Governor Chris Christie on MSNBC's The Ed Show.
America's newest Republican golden boy, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, is trying to build his political chops on the backs of public school teachers and poor kids in his state. After spending the last week just basking in the sun, basking in the glow of the national media, Christie came back to New Jersey to break out his education reform agenda. Christie's attack on the teachers include what? Well, let's scale back the pensions, tighten the standards, and stripping teachers of tenure. Well, this is how Christie described tenure for bad teachers.
Your performance was awful. You didn't do what we asked you to do. You didn't produce the product we wanted you to produce. But we don't look at that. All we look at is, are you still breathing?
Yeah, you still breathing. You know, the arrogance just drips off this guy. He's just broad brushing the whole situation. This spring, Christie proposed cutting public education by $820 million. Now he wants to be judge, jury, and executioner for New Jersey's 113,000 school teachers. Christie claims he's not going after teachers. You see, he has a bigger target.
I do not bash teachers. I bash their stubborn, self-interested union.
Union. That's what it's all about. Union busting. I don't believe that Christie cares about what kind of education New Jersey kids receive. This is all about the almighty dollar and power. Christie wants to give, listen up, $1 billion in tax breaks to the top 2% while he threatens the jobs of middle-class teachers. The average New Jersey school teacher makes $57,467 a year. Christie wants to throw them under the bus and base salary teacher and make it all on teacher, strictly on merit pay. Here it is.
Any type of compensation based on anything but merit should be gone. In other words, if you have a salary guide or a compensation policy that rewards seniority, that you get paid just because you're there another year and you get paid more and more and more every year you're there, we should pass a law in New Jersey that prohibits seniority being a basis for compensation alone.
Now, Governor Christie is not satisfied with his assault on pension benefits. His strategic decision to paint himself as a friend of educators while demonizing their union makes it easier for him to link pay to student test scores, eliminate due process rights for educators, privatize charters, pass tuition tax credits, or voucher legislation. Let's talk about evaluations. Maryland, in pursuit of federal dollars, has jumped on the bandwagon to base teacher and principal evaluations on student performance. Recently, in a bold attempt to usurp local decision-making and implement reforms considered and rejected by the General Assembly, the Department of Education and State Board moved to require 50% of every evaluation be based on student growth. Your MSEA President, Clara Floyd, submitted a formal written challenge to this overreaching state board action. The implementation has now been placed on hold and will be reviewed by the Administrative, Executive, and Legislative Review Committee, more commonly known as AELR, next month. But it is not over.